Welcome back to the Morning Blend. It's motorcycle weather, but as more folks are hopping onto their bikes, those that do need to ride defensively and within their skill limits. Sadly, though, one rider has already died this year.
That's right. Here to remind us about the rules of the road and when it comes to motorcycle safety is Nevada Highway Patrol Officer, Trooper Lloyd Hickson. It's great having you.
Good morning, everyone.
Hello,
I'd make sure I say Trooper. I want to get the emails.
You know, you're right. Like I said, because we're talking about traffic safety, you don't want to be my first stop after we leave here. So
No.
definitely not.
Enough of that. Let's talk about traffic laws when it's related to motorcycles, because I know it changes from state to state. So if you're from another state, it might be different here.
It does. Like I said, you know, you overall have the basic rules of the road that every state has. You know, you do have to follow the speed limits. You have to wear the proper equipment. You definitely have to stay within your lane. One confusing thing that we have living next door to California is that they're allowed to split lanes. Drive between traffic.
Yeah, drive between
yes,
traffic,
between
but
the
not
cars.
here.
In Nevada, no, we do not. Like I said, that is a law that we have not put in place for the simple reason that we just don't find it efficient for running our traffic control, but also mainly it's still a little bit too dangerous out here with the kind of drivers, unfortunately, more aggressive drivers we have within our valley.
Well, let's talk about reporting reckless driving. We'll get to motorcycle safety and everything in just a moment, but do we call 911, 411? Do you have a number, a special number?
Yeah, we wouldn't want to try 911 because when we talk about 911, it is about, you know, an immediate threat to life or safety. So, you know, you could do something like 311, which will take you into a non-emergency line and get reported. But also depends on where you're at. If you're going to be on the freeways, you know, look at that star NHP or star 647 on your cell phone. That gets you straight into our dispatch line. You can report it. One thing that when we talk about the Nevada law with the cell phones, of course, you know, the law allows you to do it when you're reporting an emergency. If you have something like that, let's say it's not an immediate threat to life, you know, maybe let a passenger do it, but then, you know, we're going to ask you certain questions, you know, the direction of travel, color of the vehicle, license plates, things like that. So good idea, especially when it's something dangerous. We do this a lot when it comes to impaired drivers. You know, you see somebody looks like it could be impaired, give us a call, give that 311 a call, we'll get an officer out there because we want to get them off the road safely.
I don't call 311 often, but occasionally there's one driver where I'm like, wow, that person.
You're right, like I said, because we want to get them stopped before it turns into something tragic, especially someone losing their life. Everyone has to remember when they're on the road, whether you're in that car, motorcycle, bicyclist, even the pedestrian, you're not the only one using our Nevada roads.
Of course.
You have more people out there, have to understand, show the respect, because even if you're doing everything right for yourself, the other person may not be paying attention and you don't want to end up being something tragic because you failed to follow those simple rules that are in place.
Speaking of fatalities, I mean, often when we see you, we're seeing you as part of a news story, unfortunately at the scene of an accident. Where do we rank as far as fatalities?
You know, unfortunately, you're right. Like I said, you know, in the state of Nevada for the last couple of years, we were running on this 0 fatalities. That's our goal. And we still want to push that. Sadly, this year, you know, we've had our multiple fatalities with Nevada Highway Patrol. We have just handled our 5th one, you know, coming out. And a lot of times what we're seeing is speed's involved in that, speed and impairment. And we want to remind everyone that's on the road that those are the deadly combinations when you get together, especially on our roadways. You put speed there, you put impairment, your judgment's going to be affected. Everything's going to affect your decision making, your skills, you know, reaction time, things like that. And that's what you don't want to do. And then we could talk about when you put that on a motorcycle. We see our fatalities when they're on motorcycles. Those are the 2 common things that we are seeing when a death occurs or even a serious injury, is that speed and impairment is involved.
Wow.
Now this week, as we mentioned earlier, it's going to be in the 70s. A lot of people are going to be hopping onto their bikes. It's biking weather. So what should we keep in mind when we go ride?
Well, the most important thing to always keep in mind is you want to make sure that you have to realize that you're not the only one out there. You know, as a motorcycle rider, me myself, I've been riding since I was 8 years old. I've always taken on that mentality that no one can see me. And that's really what you have to remember. A motorcycle is a much smaller vehicle when it comes to our roadways. Therefore, it's not as easily seen as you will see a car, semi-truck, things like that.
The pillar of your car, your blind spot, you wouldn't see a fragment of it.
Exactly. And then when you take in account that when drivers are operating their vehicles, you know, if they're going to look over their shoulder left or right, a lot of times it's a really quick glance. If they don't have that time, that's going to really allow them to take in that whole environment, that scene that's right next to them. What they may think is something completely that isn't involved in traffic happens to be a motorcycle. But then that's why you take on that. As a motorcyclist, take yourself as invisible. Drive defensively. Another good thing is always having the proper equipment. As we see what we have here, we have the different styles of helmet. You know, this seems to be very common, especially when you have like road bikes. You know, they're not a full face. They're just simply they're on top. They're protecting the head itself. And the most important thing when you look at these type of helmets is on the back of them is that you want to make sure that they are DOT compliant or Snell compliant.
Okay.
You know, which is a very important thing. And because those show that they do meet the minimum crash ratings when it comes to being on a motorcycle.
This one has the DOT Snell compliancy as well.
It does, yes. And then you see that's a different style of helmet where it has the full face. Yeah,
I'm just going to hang on to it.
You know, that's
you
a
won't
great
see
thing.
like a Harley driver riding this more for the style aspect of it, but this is safer, would you say?
It is, yes, it is in the sense that it protects your entire head. You know, it's also protecting your face, it's protecting your neck, it's protecting all parts of it. But yeah, and then you look at the different types of padding, you know. Another thing that motorcyclists don't really think about is that when you are involved in a collision, even simply dropping the helmet, trying to get out of your garage, that it can be compromised. The safety can be compromised. You want to make sure you do a full inspection.
These are designed to break.
They are designed to break. They're designed to absorb all the energy.
Once. That's why if you drop it in the garage, you know, you might have gotten your once and weakened it.
That is very true. And then, you know, some people look at, you know, they are expensive. You're right. I mean, you know, they could range anywhere from $50 up to, you know, $1,000 depending on the type of design. And you see the beautiful colors on them and things like that. But it's meant to think about the fact you only got one head. You know, you want to protect that head because if something goes on, if you get a serious brain trauma, you can't get that back. One of the parts in our body that doesn't really replenish itself is our brain and our spine. You need to protect those.
No question.
Boy, we have to go. Whose bike does this belong to?
This belongs to Trooper Coker, one of our Nevada Highway Patrol troopers, one of our awesome troopers that goes out there in our motor units, that's consistently out there keeping everybody safe. Like I said, very nice bike. Like I said, you look at all its safety features, simply for the fact, like I said, when you talk about motorcycle safety, look at the equipment they have. Headlights, taillights, turn signals. It is a bigger motorcycle. Also think about making sure that you maybe take a safety course.
Awesome.
Yes.
We have to go. Thank you so much, and
Lloyd,
thank you for bringing
so
the bike
much.
in.
Great having you.
Appreciate it. Remember, the roadway is not a racetrack. To report reckless driving or to learn more about the laws of the road, go to one of the websites right there on your screen.